Settle in and listen carefully, because this story is not about a monster hiding in the dark. This is a story about a man hiding in plain sight, a man respected by society, a man welcomed into homes, a man who smiles, speaks politely, and follows the rules. And this is the story of what happens when the part of him he has always feared is finally allowed to live freely. As you listen, notice the rhythm of the sentences. Notice how simple English can carry deep meaning. This is not fast English. This is clear English. This is storytelling English. And once this story begins, it does not let go easily. The story takes place in London, a city of narrow streets, tall buildings, and heavy fog. At night, the fog moves slowly through the streets like a living thing, hiding faces and softening footsteps. In this city lives a lawyer named Mr. Utterson. He is a serious man, quiet and thoughtful, known for his honesty and loyalty. He does not judge people quickly. He believes that even flawed people deserve understanding. Because of this, many people trust him with their secrets. Mr. Utterson enjoys long walks, especially on Sunday evenings, when the city feels calmer. On one such walk, he is joined by his cousin and friend, Mr. Enfield. Enfield is observant and curious, the kind of man who notices strange details others ignore. As they walk together, they pass through a quiet neighborhood and stop near a strange building. The building looks cold and unwelcoming. It has no windows facing the street. Its door is damaged and dirty, as if many people have tried to avoid touching it. Enfield looks at the door and tells Utterson a disturbing story. Late one night, he says, he saw a man walking quickly down the street. At the same time, a small child was running around a corner. The man did not stop. He did not slow down. He knocked the child to the ground and walked over her body as if she were nothing. When people shouted and gathered around, the man showed no regret. He looked irritated, not ashamed. To avoid public anger, the man agreed to pay money to the child's family. He went inside the strange building and returned with a check. The check was real, signed by a respected doctor. The man's name was Edward Hyde. Utterson feels uneasy. He knows that name. That night, he goes home and opens a legal document he has kept locked away. It is the will of his old friend, Dr. Henry Jekyll. Dr. Jekyll is a well-known scientist, admired for his intelligence and kindness. According to the will, if Jekyll disappears or dies, all his property will go to Edward Hyde. Utterson is deeply troubled. Why would a man like Jekyll protect someone like Hyde? The question refuses to leave his mind. Days later, Utterson waits near the strange door. Eventually, Hyde appears. Utterson speaks to him. Hyde is small, pale, and unpleasant to be near. There is nothing obviously monstrous about him, yet everything about him feels wrong. When Utterson mentions Dr. Jekyll, Hyde smiles with a strange sense of ownership. He enters the building without hesitation. Utterson visits Jekyll and asks about Hyde. Jekyll becomes defensive. He insists that Hyde is a private matter and demands that Utterson never interfere. Though uneasy, Utterson promises. Time passes. Then violence strikes again. One night, Hyde brutally murders a kind old gentleman in the street. He beats the man to death with a cane. Witnesses describe Hyde as filled with uncontrollable rage. When the cane is examined, it is identified as one that once belonged to Dr. Jekyll. London is horrified. Hyde disappears. Utterson fears Jekyll is in danger and rushes to see him. But Jekyll claims Hyde is gone forever. He seems relieved, even happy. For a while, life returns to normal. Jekyll hosts dinners, he laughs, he helps others. It appears the nightmare has ended. But slowly, something changes. Jekyll begins to withdraw. He stops seeing friends. He locks himself away in his laboratory. His servants whisper about strange sounds and sudden orders. Utterson receives letters instead of visits. One letter claims Hyde will never return, but the handwriting looks unfamiliar. Another friend, Dr. Lanyon, becomes seriously ill. He speaks of witnessing something so terrible it shattered his understanding of life. Before dying, Lanyon gives Utterson a sealed letter and instructs him not to open it until Jekyll is gone. One night, Jekyll's servants beg Utterson for help. A voice is crying from the laboratory. The voice is frightened and desperate. But it does not sound like Jekyll. Utterson and the servants break down the door. Inside, they find Edward Hyde, lying dead from poison. Jekyll is nowhere to be seen. Utterson opens Lanyon's letter. Inside is the truth. Dr. Jekyll writes a confession. He explains that for years he lived a divided life. Outwardly, he was respectable and kind. Inwardly, he carried darker desires. He wanted pleasure without consequences, freedom without guilt. He believed that human beings were made of two opposing selves, and he wondered what would happen if they could be separated. Through experiments, he created a potion. When he drank it, his body transformed. His darker self became real. This was Edward Hyde. Hyde was smaller, younger, and crueler because he carried no conscience. At first, Jekyll felt free. Hyde could do terrible things, and Jekyll would return without punishment. But Hyde grew stronger. The transformations began happening without the potion. Jekyll lost control. Hyde became dominant. Finally, trapped and terrified, Jekyll chose death rather than live forever as Hyde. Utterson finishes reading. The mystery is solved. The story ends quietly, but its meaning lingers. This is why this story endures. It teaches us that evil is not always loud. Sometimes it is polite, sometimes it wears a smile, sometimes it lives inside people we admire. For English learners, this story shows that you do not need difficult words to tell a powerful story. Clear sentences create tension. Simple language carries emotion. What matters is rhythm, contrast, and honesty. If this story helped you feel English instead of translating it, stay with this channel. More stories are coming. Darker ones, deeper ones. Stories that make English memorable, not mechanical. This is not the end. This is where better storytelling begins.